cameras are going.
The cameras are going.
I've got my drink of water, not vodka.
And I've got my drink of very clear stuff.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I know. You'd think we'd be alcoholics, but we're actually good. We're not.
Oh, we're on a water high.
Yeah, we're on a water high because that's how bipolars think.
Or the scientific term, dihydrogen oxide.
Oh, see? Well, like, look at that nerdy statement right there. I don't even know what to do with that. so
No, use it on your friends sometimes. Say, could you have some dihydrogen oxide for me?
Wait, say that word again.
Dihydrogen oxide.
Dihydrogen oxide. If I'm going to say that at the mommy land that I live in. Awesome!
Awesome. Okay, and another term. Okay, if you stick in dihydrogen monoxide.
Okay,
there's a Penn and Teller clip. They hired some people to go around with a petition saying, should we make dihydrogen monoxide illegal?
Awesome!
It's causing acid rain. It causes erosion. And all of these smart people were signing the petition.
That is awesome. Right there.
Awesome. Awesome sauce.
Oh, awesome sauce. That's where I'm going back to. That is so great.
So anyway, so if a doctor's writing out a prescription for water, just ask for the scientific term dihydrogen monoxide.
I am going to have to write that one down. Because I could really have some showstoppers in my little parties that I do, and I'll just throw that one out there, and people will be like,
huh?
What?
But we're normal. We're the normal.
So normal. But anyways, I'm Maggie Reese.
And I'm John McManamy.
Yeah, and we're coming to you from outside the shack
Outside
today.
the shack.
Yep. And today, that was good stuff. He's going to spit all over the place.
Oh, dihydrogen monoxide on your beautiful pavement.
I know. We're in a dihydrogen whatever monoxide drought right now.
Right. We're not getting enough.
Yeah, we're definitely not getting enough water. But all jokes aside, today our topic is we want to talk about family support.
Oh, this is so important, Maggie. Okay, so we're getting serious now. Because the reason we're here joking like we're joking now is because we had family support in the past.
Yes, yeah.
It was my brother who took me to the emergency room about 17 years ago, and had he not taken me to the emergency room, I wouldn't be here now.
So you probably would have taken your life.
I was so suicidal.
Yeah.
It was, I wonder why, it was illogical that I decided to live. That's how bad it was. So if I didn't have family there,
you would have been done.
I would have been done.
Yeah. And I would definitely say that would be the same for me. If my father wouldn't have come to University of Idaho and packed up my stuff, he actually shipped it. Because he flew up on an airplane, so we couldn't lug it home in the car. He just shipped UPS'd it home and put me on a plane with him, and off we went. But if he wouldn't have come,
and that's
in
your
my
book. So why don't you keep talking about this, because this is a riveting story. It really is the story of how your family.
How they came in and
most books. I'll just interrupt you here for a second,
go ahead.
because most books. This is what impressed me about Maggie's book. Most books about by people who have bipolar tend to brag about their manic episodes. And that's okay to a certain extent, because we have to know what mania is. The public has to know what mania is.
Right.
But Maggie went a lot further than that. She actually does very little bragging about her manic episodes. It's more about how her family pulled together to help her out. And I was with Maggie at an event where she was awarded Young Advocate of the Year, and she had her family down from Northern California, and it was a very touching moment, and I got to talk to your family afterwards.
Yeah, you got to talk to my dad.
And so I really feel strongly about this family stuff.
They it ripped our entire family apart. We're a very close family. The Hearst family's super close, and I had so much success in my running, and that was not brought on by my parents forcing me to do a sport. I just loved it, and I excelled at it at a rapid pace. I started in, I don't know, my sophomore year of high school.
You were winning all kinds of races.
And by my senior year, I had full rides.
Everywhere,
everywhere, and it was so and again, my parents, they were not those parents that forced me to do stuff. It just happened. And then to have me have everything fall apart in college at such a rapid rate again, which just devastated the family. And to have their daughter, like, couldn't even brush her teeth all of a sudden. Like, that's
here you are running 10 miles and you can't even brush your teeth.
And I can't even brush my teeth, I tell my dad, I want to die. I want to die, Dad, I want to die.
And he's never heard that before.
No, my whole life, I loved my life, and I've been the life of the party, and then to have my dad go, wait a second, oh my gosh, this is super serious, and my dad, he was in Vietnam and had traumatic stress post-traumatic stress. And for him to come up on an airplane, he didn't want to get on an airplane, but
he had post-traumatic stress, so he was afraid to fly.
He's afraid to get on the airplane.
And he did this for you.
He did this for you to come, for me, to come save my life. And my sister came at the right time too, because I wanted to jump off a bridge in Spokane into a river, in an icy river. And she was there, and I kept telling people I wanted to die, and that was a good thing that I said that, right?
Yes, because people, we keep it in. I kept it inside for the longest time.
Right. If you don't tell people, that's when you can really unravel, and you might kill yourself, right? And so I think about all the different times I have told people, even nowadays when I have some really bad times, I tell my husband, like there's only been a few instances in the last few years, but I'll tell Matt, I feel like I want to kill myself. And then he knows where I'm at.
Right.
So I think it's good to vocalize how bad you are, and then you can get the support you need from your family.
Yeah, and this is the catch-22 with our illness, because if we get depressed, we tend to isolate and not tell. We go into our shell, and then nobody knows we're suffering.
Right.
And then we're setting ourselves up for all kinds of trouble.
Right, and then that leads to, you could end
leads
up in the mental
unthinkable.
Institution or the unthinkable of
right, and that happens to too many people.
Yes,
and
way
you
too
mentioned your father was a vet. Okay, more vets are dying from suicide than on the battlefield. Way more. I came across some statistic yesterday. It was appalling. I can't remember the numbers. I'm not good at math, but it was like,
that's devastating.
It's devastating. This has taken out too many of our people who have served our country. They don't tell anybody.
Right. It's staying all down inside, and they're not. And if you can reach out to someone, whether it's a family member for support, or a friend, man, it is so key to this illness. And even when I start to go on the other end of the spectrum, I don't have full-blown manic episodes anymore, but when I start to get up and agitated, that's where, again, my husband comes in for support.
Well, your father, once again, was there for you, because you were like a wild animal.
Oh, completely.
And not only that, I've heard you in your talks, you would joke about it because you're a distance runner.
Yes.
So, can you explain that? You would just run, and your father would have to run, get in a truck and...
Oh, he'd chase me, because I'm from a small town, so when I came home from college, I would just start running away, and my dad would jump in the truck and drive after me, and then I would tell people, my dad's really bad, he molested me. So I would,
my God.
Yeah, I would make up lies, but luckily the whole town knew my father and knew me, and everyone was trying to help,
Wow, had you been in a city where...
Oh, it would have been devastating, which those things have happened in cities, and you do see it play out in a nightmare status, or the police get involved.
Yes.
And sometimes the mentally ill person gets shot. There's so many awful instances, and you think about, I don't know, if I would have had this whole thing go down in a city, I think it would have played out different. It's scary.
It's very scary.
Because I had the town support. I had friends, and I had the town support. I had family support.
Yeah.
Everyone knew who I was because I was in the newspaper all the time. And here I was in a coddled environment where a lot of you out there are in the cities, and that is
and we're built
rough.
to be in your kind of environment that you grew up in. We're not built to be, we're built to be social animals. We're built to be in family or small tribal groups.
Right.
That's how our wiring's connected up. So we find ourselves in these anonymous situations, either where we're living in suburban housing tracts or in urban environments, and nobody knows us. We don't know who our next door neighbor is.
Yes.
So
and there's no support.
There's no support. So something hits the fan. You're a stranger in a strange land, but you had at least the awful things that happened to you. At least you were in the right environment.
I was in the right environment. Now in my second book, Runaway Mom, it happened right here in San Diego, and I did have my mother there when I had Allison, and of course my husband was working.
Allison's your daughter.
Yeah, Allison's my daughter, and so I had this new baby, and then my mom's helping, and my husband's at work. But I mean, it was so bad that I took off my clothes and ran out into the neighborhood, and this is in San Diego by downtown. So I did have this happen in the middle of a city. And
that could have been...
Yes, that could have been really bad right there.
Yeah, because, you think of all the bad outcomes and the very one or two good outcomes, the bad outcomes way outnumber.
Yeah.
And that is in... Maggie describes that story. If you check on YouTube under postpartum psychosis, I think.
Right. And luckily my neighbors came into play there. I mean, here I am in the middle of Hillcrest, which is a very crowded area in downtown.
Right, lots of nightclubs.
Everything is right there. And
it's all happening.
My neighbors, they realized there was something majorly wrong and helped my mom get me back in that house. So that was nice to have that support, and they kept supporting me the whole time I lived there. But
okay, so if you can't have family support, you need neighbor support.
Yeah.
You've well, look, when things go wrong in our life, if you're rushing to work and your car battery's dead, you should be able to rely on a neighbor to help you jumpstart your car. I mean, this is simple stuff. If you've got if your plumbing's gone wrong, you should be able to call somebody real fast who can get over and help you with these kind of household emergencies.
Right, and I feel like maybe, and when you're in your well times, that's where you could come up with, I think you should write a plan down, a list of people that you can rely on for the support.
That's a really good
idea.
I
was there for you. When John had a major problem, he called me, thank goodness.
Yeah, because I was going under.
Yeah, and I was in a good place, so I was able to help him.
I really felt myself going under and not coming back up, and I called Maggie.
Right. So if we have a roadmap of helping us, who can we call on for the family support?
Yeah, and that was embedded in my brain.
Yes.
And so if it's not embedded in your brain now, you've got to embed it.
I agree.
Yeah, but I think most of us are here because family originally did bail us out. If all of you think back to your crisis situation, and probably you're watching, you're a patient or a family member, you've been through a crisis situation. Doctors, the enlightened doctors emphasize this is a family illness. It affects the family.
Oh yeah. As you know, if you're watching this video, you know how much it has affected your family.
Yeah, and so if you're consulting a patient, if you're consulting a therapist or psychiatrist, the family should be involved.
Oh, yeah.
And there's unenlightened therapists and psychiatrists who don't think the family should be involved because they're going to second guess the expert. You need to fire that. Seriously.
Yeah, I agree.
I experienced that with... a partner I was with, he thought he was the doctor and the Joe Important guy, because I'm asking these awkward questions. Why are you prescribing this med? And he didn't like that from me. He did everything possible to,
And there are, there are great doctors and there's some bad doctors. So you gotta.
There's a lot of bad ones.
You have to. Yes, I agree. So you really have to shop around, and you can't just go, well, this is it. And you need to advocate for yourself, to your family. Like, your family may love that doctor, but you're not clicking with them,
Yep. So you got to be on board with your family, and your family's got to advocate for you, because often when we're in crisis, we're in no position to advocate. Your family's got to pick that up. Your family also, we tend to forget stuff when we're depressed. I brought this up in a previous video, but it's worth repeating here. If we're depressed, we can't remember when we were feeling good.
Yeah.
So somebody's got to say, well, you didn't tell the doctor about that time, you ran naked down the street.
Yeah.
Or that you were hitting on the boss's husband. Or,
right.
Because we forget that stuff. Your family's got to be there advocating, and if the doctor doesn't want the family member in there, the doctor's only as good as the information that he or she is presented with.
Oh yeah, and I would say, especially if you're in an episode, at least for me, I did not tell the doctor stuff that I didn't want her to know, and a lot of times I would just fake that I was fine for that.
We are so good at faking.
Yeah, we're really good at faking. So and this is like I'm in a full manic episode, and I know I can be triggered by anything, and I'm gonna go crazy, right? Yep. But I'd be like, okay, Maggie, you're gonna be in there 30 minutes. I'm gonna act totally normal, and then I'm gonna get the hell out of there, and I'm gonna go crazy again because that's what I want to do.
Yeah, and you just want to get out of there in one piece.
Oh yeah. And I remember, and this is in my full manic episode, so I'm like on crack, but I'm able to go, I'm normal, and then I get back out there, and then my poor parents were left with, oh my gosh, she just tricked the doctor again. I tricked the doctor so many times when I was sick.
Oh, and I've seen this firsthand.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. So if you're a family member watching this and you're trying to figure out how you can get your son or daughter well, you got to be in there with your kid, showing the doctor, look, this is not what's happening, because otherwise you're going to just get lies from the person like me. Like I was just lying through my teeth, and I didn't care.
Yeah, sometimes we're lying through our teeth. Sometimes we just cannot remember.
Yeah, or
our brains
we're
trick
out
us.
of it. Yeah.
I mean, our brain. When I'm depressed, I can never remember when I had a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I would be like you on the depression side, but when I went to the manic side, I was all about the shenanigans.
The manic side. Yeah.
I am gonna get out of this. I'm gonna trick everyone. Yeah. I am amazing. You guys are a bunch of crap.
I'm like that on the manic side too. Yeah, it's like. Yeah, because we can tone it down for the time.
Oh yeah, we can totally fake it.
Yeah, we're good at it.
And I would say even in today's time, now I'm medicated and things like that, but I can fake it all the time for parties. Like I'll be like having a really bad day, and I'll say, you know what, I just gotta pull it together. I'm gonna just and then I'm gonna get out of there, and I'm gonna go.
I've done that too. Yeah,
and I know. Yeah, you've been there.
So we're good at
we're good actors.
We're the best.
Yeah, and maybe that's why there's a lot of people with bipolar in acting, because we just go into all these different characters almost.
Well, kind of. It's funny because bipolar is a cycling illness.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are cycling in and out of different characters in a way.
It's true.
We're anxious, or we're feeling thoughtful. It's not just, it's people. It's not just up and down.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay,
perfect.
We're in all kinds of different moods and behaviors and settings. So I can be like thoughtful, like I don't know, like Socrates or something.
Yeah.
Or like Aristotle, and Aristotle's most famous student was Alexander the Great. So I could be thoughtful and rational like Aristotle, but then I could be like his student who rampaged the world.
Yeah.
And that can happen in a short space, and it doesn't have to be, with those kind of extremes. They can be more subtle,
Yeah. Well, I was last night, for instance, I was watching Silver Linings Playbook, and Matt comes home, he's all, Maggie, seriously, you've watched that 10 times. I'm all, well, I was in the mood, and I love this movie.
That's about a bipolar person. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
Can you explain that?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies because Pat, the character, he has bipolar disorder, and he's going through this manic episode, and he has to go, he's like 40, right? And he has a breakdown, and he just comes out of a mental institution, and he has to go live with his parents, and his parents are like, 70, right? So he has to move.
That's happened to people.
He's got to move in with his parents, and he's going through this manic episode. And I love the beginning scene where he's reading Hemingway, and he's reading Farewell to Arms.
Oh, it's a great book. Yeah.
Yes, and he's reading it, and he's reading this because his ex-wife she used to teach it in her syllabus, right, in school, and he's like, he never would pay attention to his wife, so he's trying to get his wife back, and so he's reading this book all night long, and then he gets to the end of the book, and he's mad because the main character dies, and he's like, fuck it, and he throws it through the window, and it crashes through the glass. He goes, he's reading this straight through. So it's 4 a.m. He wakes his parents up, and he's all, this book is so messed up, and he's yelling, and I'm like, that is me. That is awesome, because I could relate to everything about Pat's character, of how out of control he got. We want to dial in. We want to read. Like when we get into a reading mode, we want to read 500 pages nonstop, get to the end, and then...
It's kind of like singing 100 bottles of beer on the wall all the way through.
All the way through is like, that's how I describe Mania. And they got, it's like the one movie that they got it so perfect with Bipolar. So anyways, if you ever want to watch an awesome movie, watch Silver Linings Playbook.
and
so good.
It's funny you mentioned Hemingway too, because...
Oh yeah, he had bipolar.
He had bipolar, and I think in his family history, like there were about 5 suicides.
Yes, 5 suicides, and it talks about Hemingway had these crazy highs where he was like, he's off in Africa shooting game, he's traveling around the world, he's writing his books when he was on his highs, and then when he hit his lows, he's living up in Idaho and he's barely making it. He can't even do an interview for, I think it was something they wanted something at the White House, and they wanted him to do a little blurb. He couldn't even do one blurb because he's so depressed, living up by Haley, Idaho, and he's just in a he's isolated.
Yeah.
And I could see that happening to me. If you isolate too much, he was this amazing spark in this world. He did all this amazing adventures. And he sparked out, just like that.
Yeah, and he could even relate to Cuban fishermen.
Yes.
He could relate, and then he's part of that lost generation with all these intellectuals in Paris.
Right.
He's a spark, he can relate to everybody, and then he isolates.
And then everybody's
tragedy.
They're wondering, well, what the heck happened? And I feel, when I read about him, I don't see the family support. He went through 4 wives, so he was just going one to the next, and they tried to help him at the very end. They were putting him in care and things like that at the very end, but he would just fake it just enough to get out, and then he's like, shotgun, I'm done, and kills himself.
Well, okay, interesting. Okay, now I get Mariel and Margot mixed up. One of them committed suicide. The other is living outside of Los Angeles on a ranch with her husband. With the family support, because she's in mortal fear of, she gets depressed too. Right. And she needs to be with her husband and have that kind of family support. Right. Because it's like, she's like living with a sword hanging over her head by a thread. That's how she feels. Yeah, it does feel like that a lot of times. I would agree with her. If I didn't have my family support, I don't know how I could get through. No, and I've got my brother living in the area, and
you have friends.
Yeah, and I have friends, so we do have to reach out.
Definitely. Well, can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Okay, and
and I got mine right here too.
Yep. So not just up and down. It's this is the Bipolar Expert Series. I'm going to be writing 6 books. This first one is about moods, and we're going to get into that family support in a later book. Definitely. The last book in my series is going to be about relationships, so I'm going to have a lot to say about family support there.
Yeah, I bet. And this is just my own memoir of what I went through.
Not just your own memoir. It's an awesome memoir.
An awesome memoir. Runaway Mind. And I dive into the journey of what it was like through my depression and my manic episode. And it shows how my family did support me. It's huge on family support on this. So it's
very.
It's one of the few stories there's a lot of hope in it, I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot of hope, and it's one of the great books on family support. It's not bragging, look how manic I got, or look how miserable I am. This is about family support, so it's an excellent book.
Well, thanks guys for tuning in, and go watch that Silver Linings Playback, and watch Pat throw that book through
a window, and subscribe to our email list. And And subscribe to YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, that's a wrap. I don't even know what to do with that.